New York City is about to start selling its own groceries, and the billionaires footing the bill are threatening to pack their bags.
Oh, it is a wild situation.
It really is. Think about that for a second. You are watching a massive, high-stakes battle unfold right now in the financial capital of the world. Two completely different visions for the future are just, well, colliding.
Yeah, head on.
Right. On one side, you have a newly elected Democratic Socialist mayor who wants the government to step in and fix the extreme cost of living by directly supplying basic needs. And on the other side, a billionaire grocery store tycoon insists the city's own taxes are the real reason everything costs so much in the first place.
And that tension is spilling right out of City Hall and into the streets.
Yeah,
It really is a defining moment for modern American politics.
absolutely.
We are watching a real-time stress test of two completely opposing ideologies. You have wealth redistribution pushing hard against market-driven growth. And both sides are trying to solve an affordability crisis that is, it's pushing everyday people to the absolute breaking point.
Rents are skyrocketing.
Exactly. Rents are skyrocketing. Food prices are out of control. And the proposed solutions to all this are basically tearing the city apart.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are opening up a huge stack of sources to figure out exactly how these policies work and what they might mean for you and, honestly, the rest of the country.
We've got a lot of ground to cover.
We do. We have financial transcripts from Fox Business. We have detailed legal and economic analyses from the law firm K&L Gates, plus some news reports from the New York Daily News and several biographical profiles of the key players.
Right. And it is important to note right up front that the sources we are looking at today are heavily polarized.
Oh, definitely.
We are looking at aggressive policy platforms from democratic socialists and then furious rebuttals from right-wing billionaires. So we're not taking a side today. We do not endorse these viewpoints. Our job is simply to map the battlefield for you.
Right. We just want to show you exactly where these two ideologies are colliding so you can understand the actual mechanics behind all these crazy headlines.
Exactly. We want to understand the machinery of the city.
And to do that, we have to start with the man currently sitting in City Hall. The sources profile the newly elected mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, and his path to power is just, it's incredible.
It's definitely not your typical political origin story.
Not at all. So, he was born in Uganda, his father is an academic, and his mother is the famous filmmaker Mira Nair.
Right.
When he moved to New York, he spent time working as a foreclosure counselor. So he literally sat across the table from families who were losing their homes. Oh, and before he entered politics, he had a career as a rapper.
Yeah, he performed under the name Young Cardamom.
Wait, Young Cardamom?
Yeah, Young Cardamom. He even co-wrote and performed a song called Number One Spice for the soundtrack of one of his mother's movies.
That's amazing.
It is. And his music actually tells you a lot about his worldview. He rapped about food and identity and social issues back in Uganda. He used chapati, which is a type of Indian flatbread, as this symbol to bring different communities together.
So food and housing were central to his identity long before he ever ran for office.
Exactly.
So from a rapper named Young Cardamom to the mayor of New York City. In 2025, Mamdani pulled off this shocking upset victory over former Governor Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary.
A massive upset.
Right. And he ran openly as a Democratic socialist. He did not moderate his views to win. He brought a radical affordability platform straight to the voters.
Yeah, he built his entire campaign on massive promises to lower the cost of living for the working class. We're talking about making city buses completely free.
Cheap buses.
Free buses. He pushed for a $30 minimum wage by the year 2030.
Wow.
He called for a strict rent freeze on all rent-stabilized apartments. And he rolled out an aggressive plan to build 200,000 new affordable housing units.
Okay, I have to push back here for a second because this sounds like a great movie script. The activist rapper takes down the political establishment to fight for the working class.
Right.
But a $30 minimum wage, free buses, freezing rent in literally the most expensive real estate market in the world. How does an activist actually plan to execute these massive promises without just completely bankrupting the city?
Well, you have to look at the economic reality that put him in office in the first place. When basic living costs skyrocket, voters, they stop trusting traditional politicians.
Makes sense.
They start looking for outside-the-box leaders who promise to basically break the system. Mamdani tapped directly into the deep frustration of everyday people. Think about a barista or, a sanitation worker who feels completely priced out of their own neighborhood.
Yeah, they're struggling just to stay afloat.
Exactly. So when a former foreclosure counselor stands up and says he wants to freeze their rent, they do not care about the complex economic math.
Right, they just hear a lifeline.
Precisely. Mamdani argues the current capitalist system only works for the wealthy, and he is willing to use the force of the government to change that reality.
Which brings us to the centerpiece of his agenda, the grocery store plan.
This is fascinating.
The sources highlight a brutal statistic. Grocery prices in New York City have jumped nearly 66% over the past decade.
66%, that is wild.
It completely outpaces the national average. Wages have definitely not kept up. People are struggling to just feed their families. So, to combat this, Mamdani is launching a city-owned grocery store initiative.
Right, so the city plans to open 5 public grocery stores by the year 2029.
So, one in every borough.
Yeah, one city-funded store in each of the 5 boroughs. And they're starting this experiment with a $30 million location at La Marqueta in East Harlem.
Okay.
And that first store expects to open its doors in 2027.
So how does the government actually run a grocery store? Do we have city workers in, government uniforms stocking the produce aisle?
No. The city handles the real estate, not the tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the city already owns the land. The city pays for the construction of the store. And the city also covers all the rent. But a private operator handles the day-to-day management.
Got it. So they outsource the grocery part.
Exactly. The city selects this operator through a competitive bidding process. And because the private operator gets a totally free building and pays 0 rent, they have to sign a really strict contract.
I'm assuming there's a catch for getting a free building.
Huge catch. That contract legally requires them to sell what they call an essential basket of goods at a much cheaper price than the regular market.
Wait, I need to stop you there.
Yeah.
Because operating a grocery store in New York City is like trying to run a marathon while wearing a weighted vest of commercial taxes.
That's a great way to put it.
Mamdani isn't making the runner any faster. He's just using public money to take the weighted vest off.
Right.
If the city is absorbing the rent and the real estate taxes, the consumer isn't actually paying less for the food. They are just paying for it indirectly through their city taxes. Right? So how does the math on that actually save the working class any money?
You nailed the exact mechanism there. Look, grocery stores operate on razor-thin profit margins, usually around just 1 or 2%.
Barely anything.
Barely anything. Rent and real estate taxes eat up a massive chunk of their revenue. So if taxes go up, the store immediately has to raise the price of milk just to survive.
Which hits the consumer.
Exactly. By using public money to completely eliminate those overhead costs, the operator saves an absolute fortune. And this city forces the operator to pass those exact savings directly to the consumer right at the cash register.
Okay, I see.
You are right that the taxpayer absorbs the cost. But Mamdani views this as a deliberate wealth transfer. He wants to tax the wealthy to subsidize the overhead, which artificially lowers the price of the food for the working class.
But the private sector has a very different explanation for why that weighted vest exists in the first place.
Oh, totally.
Let's pivot to the other side of this battlefield and look at John Catsimatidis. He is a billionaire businessman, a Greek immigrant who came to America as an infant. He grew up in West Harlem, literally lived a true rags-to-riches story, buying his first grocery store while he was still in college.
Which is incredible.
Today, he is the CEO of the Red Apple Group. His company owns major Manhattan grocery chains like Gristedes and D'Agostino.
Yeah, Catsimatidis is a titan of New York commerce. I mean, his company brings in billions of dollars in revenue. He owns real estate, aviation companies, and a major radio station.
He's everywhere.
He really is. And he is fighting back hard against the mayor's narrative. Catsimatidis recently went on Fox Business to offer a furious rebuttal.
What was his main argument?
He argues that the city's own progressive policies are what actually cause high grocery prices. He explicitly says greedy businesses are not the problem. Government overreach is the problem.
Right. He points the finger directly at the politicians. He breaks down the crushing weight of doing business in the city. For example, he highlights commercial rent taxes. He calls this a tax on a tax.
The tax on a tax.
Yeah, a business pays rent, and then the city charges them a tax just for paying that rent. He also points to congestion pricing.
And congestion pricing is a perfect example of how policies ripple through an entire supply chain.
Also,
Well, congestion pricing charges vehicles a fee just to enter specific parts of the city. Catsimatidis explains that delivery trucks now pay massive tolls just to bring food across the bridge.
oh, right.
So the trucking company passes that toll to the grocery store. Then the grocery store bakes that toll directly into the price of a carton of eggs. Every new regulation and fee trickles straight down to the consumer's receipt.
And he makes a massive claim in the sources about this. He says if the city stopped charging him rent and taxes today, he could reduce his grocery prices by 20% tomorrow morning.
20% overnight. It reveals a really fascinating paradox here.
What's that?
Both the socialist mayor and the billionaire CEO actually agree on one core fundamental truth. They both agree that rent and taxes are making food too expensive.
Wow, they actually agree on the root cause.
They do. But they have totally opposite philosophies on how to fix it. Mamdani wants the public sector to step in and absorb those costs using taxpayer money. Catsimatidis wants the government to stop charging those costs to private businesses in the first place. He argues that if you simply let the free market breathe, prices will drop naturally.
But dropping taxes creates a math problem for the city. New York City currently faces a massive $5.4 billion budget deficit.
It's a huge hole to fill.
So if Mamdani is spending $70 million to build public grocery stores and pushing for free buses and affordable housing, where is the money coming from?
And that brings us to the most controversial policy in this entire deep dive, the pied-à-terre tax.
The pied-à-terre tax.
Right. This is a special tax supported by Mayor Mamdani and New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Pied-à-terre roughly translates to foot on the ground. It basically refers to a secondary home.
Okay.
The tax aims to raise $500 million a year, and it specifically targets ultra-rich non-residents. We're talking about wealthy individuals who park their money in New York City real estate, but they actually live out of state to avoid paying city income taxes.
So the legal analysis from K&L Gates breaks down the brutal reality of this tax. It hits about 13,000 units across the city.
Just 13,000.
Yeah. Let's translate their statistics into real-world impacts for you. Imagine an investor owns a 1 to 3 family home worth over $5 million. They do not live there. Under this plan, the city slaps them with a 0.5 to 4% surcharge just for owning it.
Wow.
Now imagine someone owns a luxury condo with an assessed value over $300,000. The city hits them with a staggering 10 to 13.5% tax.
That is massive.
It is. Mamdani designed this as a heat-seeking missile aimed at vacant luxury homes. He specifically called out Citadel CEO Ken Griffin's $240 million penthouse as the exact target.
Right. Because Mamdani argues that the ultra-rich basically store their wealth in empty tent houses in the sky, while everyday New Yorkers struggle to buy bread on the ground.
Such a vivid image.
It is. He sees this tax as a moral imperative. He wants to capture that wealth and redistribute it to fund city services. But Catsimatidis steps back in here with a dire warning.
What's his warning?
According to his numbers, a tiny fraction of the population funds the entire machine. Just 2% of the people pay 48% of the city and state taxes.
Wait, 2% pay almost half the taxes?
Almost half.
I have to ask the obvious question then. If you target the people paying all the bills with massive new taxes, what happens when they actually leave?
Yeah.
Catsimatidis literally threatened to move his grocery stores to New Jersey if Mamdani won the election. Now, he reconsidered later, but the threat of an exodus hangs over the whole city.
You're hitting on the concept of economic flight velocity.
Economic flight velocity.
Right. The K&L Gates analysis details the severe collateral damage of this tax. It is not just about losing the income tax of one billionaire. If you tax secondary homes this heavily, real estate values plummet.
Because nobody wants to buy them.
Exactly. Investors sell their properties. Developers stop building new high-rises because the buyers just disappear. Catsimatidis warns about what he calls the oh crap level.
The oh crap level.
Yeah. He says if the ultra-rich and even the upper middle class making over $500,000 hit that breaking point and just flee the state, the entire municipal structure collapses.
Because all those luxury buildings generate the property taxes that actually fund the city budget.
Exactly. New York relies on that tax base to pay the salaries of its 500,000 public employees.
Oh, wow.
We are talking about police officers, sanitation workers, and public school teachers. If the property values crash, the tax revenue vanishes.
And if the revenue vanishes?
The city faces mass layoffs, and the pension funds for those everyday workers go completely broke. So the attempt to tax the rich ends up destroying the financial safety net of the working class.
The stakes are astronomical, and this isn't just a polite academic debate over spreadsheets in a boardroom either.
Definitely not.
The political tension on the streets of New York is red hot right now.
It is completely boiling over. The sources detail a terrifying event that really proves how high the temperature has risen. In March 2026, an ISIS-inspired white supremacist named Jake Lang attempted to bomb an anti-Islam protest outside Gracie Mansion.
Gracie Mansion, which is the official residence of the mayor, that is a staggering escalation of violence.
It shows the immense physical pressure on the city. Mayor Mamdani had to step up to a microphone and address a deeply fractured population.
How did he handle it?
He strongly condemned the racist violence and the bigotry of the protest organizer. But at the exact same time, he defended the sacred right to peaceful protest.
Even for the people protesting him.
Exactly. He stated that the right belongs to everyone, even those spreading rhetoric he completely despises. It highlights the incredible tightrope he walks as a progressive Muslim mayor trying to govern a polarized city during an economic crisis.
He is fighting battles on multiple fronts, and he even faces massive resistance from within his own Democratic Party.
Oh, absolutely.
Governor Hochul supported the pied-à-terre tax just to close the immediate budget gap. But she drew a hard line against Mamdani's broader socialist vision. She called any further corporate and personal income tax hikes non-starters.
She's pulling the emergency brake.
She really is. She is actively acting as a moderate brake on his agenda. She clearly sees the threat of economic flight that Catsimatidis is warning about.
Right, because she understands the fragile ecosystem of the city budget. You absolutely need massive tax revenue to run the public transportation system and maintain the infrastructure.
Yeah.
But if you squeeze the golden goose too hard, it flies to Florida or Texas. Mamdani firmly believes the wealthy owe a larger debt to the city that built their fortunes, while Catsimatidis firmly believes the wealthy owe nothing to a government that penalizes their success.
And this is exactly why every single person listening to this right now needs to care about this story, no matter where you live.
100%.
New York City is acting as a giant high-stakes laboratory. The whole country is watching. Every major American city struggles with the cost of housing and the price of groceries.
Everyone is feeling the pinch.
They really are. And people want to see the results of this experiment. Can you actually solve an affordability crisis by heavily taxing the rich to fund public versions of private businesses?
That's the million-dollar question.
If Mamdani succeeds in New York, progressives in other cities will immediately replicate the model. But if he fails and the tax base flees, it could literally bankrupt the financial capital of the world.
We are watching the ultimate stress test of democratic socialism operating inside America's largest capitalist hub.
So let's quickly recap the collision we explored today. On one side, you have Mayor Zohran Mamdani. He believes the free market has failed the working class. He is pushing for public ownership, city-run grocery stores, and aggressive wealth taxes on luxury real estate. He wants to force a redistribution of wealth to make the city survivable for everyday people. And on the other side, you have billionaire John Catsimatidis. He warns that overtaxation and heavy-handed government interference are the exact things driving prices up.
He argues that lowering taxes on private businesses is the only mathematical way to lower prices for consumers at the register.
It really boils down to a profound philosophical divide over who should absorb the cost of living.
It does. And I want to leave you with a final lingering question to ponder on your own after we sign off today.
All right, let's hear it.
If a city successfully proves it can step in and provide basic needs like groceries at a cheaper price by eliminating the profit motive, where does that logic stop? Does the government eventually take over housing, clothing, or, technology?
Wow, yeah.
But conversely, if the 2% of people funding that entire public system hit their breaking point, pack up their bags, and leave who is left to pay the grocery bill,
It is a completely murky landscape where every proposed solution seems to trigger a brand new catastrophic problem. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the world around you, and we will see you next time.